order. The turkey show at 7 p.m.-ish. We're going to take a moment of reflection as we have been doing for the last year or so. It gives us all a chance to think about things and looking back and thinking of friends and family that we may have lost recently. So join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Ask us all to stand for the pledge. And let me first welcome Marissa Sachs to the Town Council, the newest member. Marissa, would you lead the pledge for us?
Sure.
Sure. Get your Lord
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Under adjustment to the agenda, I would like to a motion and a second to make the following moves. I would like to move monthly bills from the consent agenda to Section 8, number E, under discussion by Mayor and Town Council. And I would like to note the changing under Section 9, Other Business, where it says Authorize Vice Mayor, Assistant Town Manager, and it says Finance Office Manager to sign checks. We actually now have a Deputy Director of Finance. So I'd like for us to, at that point, change that into, for the position.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you. Guess I'm going to get back to the original page now.
Let me take a photo.
Yeah, Madam, thank you. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Hubbard?
Yeah, here.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Snipes?
Aye.
And that is 5-0 and 1 absent. Thank you. Under public hearings, we have 2 scheduled. Conditional use permit request by Walmart Real Estate and Trust for a comprehensive sign plan for additional signage for the Walmart Supercenter and an online grocery pickup service at 2400 North Franklin Street in the B3 General Commercial District. The property is designated as business commercial on the future land use map for the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. And I believe, Mr. Brian, you're here. Mr. Tickle, the store manager, is here substituting for
Sunny, and I don't know her last name.
Okay. Brad's, Andrew's going to help you out.
All right. I got a phone call this morning, and her flight was delayed. She was supposed to be here, so she called me, so she's not going to be able to make it. But anyway, I'll muddle my way through it, hopefully. Basically, what we're wanting to do is to put sign on the building that makes our customers aware of the services that we do offer. We will begin a online pickup for groceries the first of the year, or about early spring, and we were just wanting to add signs to the building again to show our customers what services we offer, pharmacy, vision center, online grocery pickup, auto care center, and things of that nature. So that's basically what I have, unless you guys have any questions or anything like that.
Now, Brian, you are going to have a drive-through pickup, is that right?
Basically what it will involve is the customers can pull up and check in, and we will take their purchases to their car for them.
It's
It's not
very-
necessarily a drive-through, but there'll be a pickup area.
Very similar to what other stores are doing now.
Yes, absolutely.
Andrew, what you got?
So this is a new type of application that is before council this evening. With the adoption of the signage ordinance this past fall, there was an adoption for a conditional use permit for special signage. That is where a business or businesses, shopping center could apply for a special signage district where maybe they don't fit into the normal standards. And in this particular case, what was brought forward in Walmart's application and Mrs. Brower's comments at the Planning Commission is that they have about 1% of the facade and signage today. They are limited to 200 square feet. They are proposing 600 square feet, which would be 5% of their facade. The ordinance says it's you can have up to 200 square feet or 10% of the facade. So they have stated since they sit back from the road and it's a large facade that in order, as Mr. Tickle noted, in order to state the uses on the building, that's why they're proposing additional signage. And so this is a first application for the special signage district, so I did want to make council aware of that. And the pickup location is to the left of the screen on the top. You can kind of see the loading docks and the pickup. If you were to approach the building, they're proposing the pickup to the left. You'd have designated parking spaces as well, similar to other businesses that are going there and providing that service.
Now, this is grocery and pharmacy, or just one?
That'll be grocery.
Right.
And of course, there'll be some general merchandise the customers can purchase as well. The pharmacy would actually have to be picked up at the pharmacy by the patient.
Okay.
And the different departments or services, as you call them, will be sort of situated generally where those features are inside the store?
Right, like the
arcade
entrance to the Vision Center would have the Vision Center sign over it.
Okay.
The grocery side would have grocery and general merchandise.
So for a store as large as yours, it's almost like guide wayfaring signs, wayfinding
Yes, sir.
signs.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, that's good. I like the idea.
Any questions? Any further questions?
I'm glad our ordinance provides for some flexibility for that. Happy to hear that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Is there anyone else here to address this issue?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just say a word about Brian. If you people are not familiar with Brian Tickle from Walmart, Brian does so much for this town. So many, he donates so much. Sue Farrar's here tonight too, and she can tell you what he does. But he does it for a lot of people, and not very often do people say how much they appreciate what you do, Brian, and you do more than you need to do. But there are people who realize that, and I, for one, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I will close that portion of the public hearing. We have a 2016 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report that is CAPER. The town of Christiansburg is a recent recipient of Community Housing Block Grant, which is CDBG funding. It's required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, to prepare the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report. The CAPER is an evaluation and performance report detailing accomplishments toward meeting the goals outlined in the 2015 to 2020 Comprehensive Plan. The CAPER compares the actual performance measures with those measures listed in the 2016 Annual Action Plan. Andrew, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that really is, in a nutshell, this. As you may recall, a few months ago, you reviewed an annual report, which is basically the plan for the upcoming year of what we're looking to accomplish with the CDBG funds, which approximately we get a little over $100,000 per year through that program. This year we received $111,000. We have been focusing it towards infrastructure. We've recently completed a half a mile, a little less than a half a mile of sidewalk on Park Street, and that's what the Caper report reflects. So the annual report, states what we're going to do. The Caper report says what we've done. So this has been at the library for almost a month now, and has been online. And we have not received any comments to date from the public, but there may be someone here this evening to talk to the report. So that's really all that I wanted to bring forward. It was a good year to write this report because we have been able to take this money and accumulate it over a couple of years and then leverage it against some general fund dollars as well as VDOT revenue sharing dollars in order to do the sidewalk project. And so in future project years, we are looking, we have put in for revenue sharing dollars for sidewalk along Main Street, and that has been one of the original projects that was set forward by the CDBG funds as to do some sidewalk along Main Street in the residential portion.
Is that East Main?
On East Main.
Okay.
And these dollars are focused towards one block group, census tract, and it is in the geographic area between Depot, East Main Street, and Roanoke Street, with Park Street running through the middle.
Any questions, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen? So it'll take me a while, Marissa, I'll get used to it. Thank you. Anyone else here to address this particular item?
Maybe before go
ahead.
I have a question for staff. The first item that Mr. Tickle presented on for the conditional use permit, I did not see that in our agenda packet. The Planning Commission took action?
Yes,
I
yes.
saw it.
It was in our agenda packet?
It was. They recommended it unanimously with 3 conditions.
Oh.
And I can bring that up as well.
I can get mine pulled up online.
No, I'm looking at it right now. I'm
It
not
was
seeing
in the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting.
It was a link on the bottom of the, there were 3 links on the memo.
Okay, I got you. That's okay. That's a loose connection between the keyboard and the seat here. Okay. Okay. So the Planning Commission recommended approval of that.
Yes.
I would, Mayor, if it's council's pleasure, I would like to recommend we take action on that tonight instead of waiting 2 more weeks. Mr. Tickle's here, and I would recommend that we add that action on this item to our agenda.
I'd second it.
Take a motion.
I'd second it.
We will move that. Second vote, please. Got a motion and a second to act on this tonight.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
We will move that to item F under Section 8, discussion and action by mayor and council.
Thank you, Mayor.
We now have the consent agenda, the council meeting work session minutes of December the 12th, capital request for replacement of vehicle for police department, and amendment 3 to supervisory control and data acquisition, SCADA, and integration services contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Get a motion and a second. Any discussions or questions? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That is 501. Thank you very much. Is approved. It's the citizens' comment section where we encourage and request any citizen that has something on their mind to come forward and mention it to us, talk to us about it. If you're going to address council, you need to approach the podium. It's your name and address, and you have a limit of 5 minutes. Anyone here to address council?
Chris Walls, 1370 Reed Street. I see that tonight in closed session you're going to do the appointment of officers. Town manager being one, town attorney, clerk of council. You know, perhaps if you all gave us a little better idea of what you're looking for, because Randy's had the job for 9 months. You know, I tried to figure out what you're looking for in a town manager by going online and seeing the people that you hire to do it. And honestly, from the advertisement, it reminded me of the crap we used to put at the end of evals in the military to take 10 lines to say, hey, he doesn't iron his uniform with a rock. You know, he seems to be competent at the job. We're now spending another $20,000. You know, we've already spent $6,000, now we're spending almost $20,000 more to find somebody. And you've got somebody that, from what everybody says, the town's not falling apart. I mean, why aren't we looking at saving some money and letting him keep doing the job he's been doing for almost a year?
Okay.
It doesn't, I don't understand it. And, you know, as far as the town attorney goes, from what I've seen, there have been 2 major cases this year. The Starlight Drive-In and the mall. They lost one that started because of their interpretation of the town code. And the other one was a settlement, and the town still lost money. I don't see that they're doing that great of a job. You know, are you looking for bids from other attorneys, or are you just sticking with the same old thing from the past? And no one in the community knows this, because every time we talk about it, it's behind closed doors. And that's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else to address council? Hearing no one, I'll close the citizens' comment portion. Introductions and presentations. We have a town council and Christiansburg High School partnership. I don't see anybody from the town, from the high school here, so I guess we'll move on with that one. I would imagine they're on the same schedule if they're not, if the school is not in session and they don't come out to these things. I'll get a clarification on that down the road. Update from Montgomery Museum and Lewis Miller Regional Arts Center Executive Director Sue Farah.
Thank you. As always, it's my pleasure to be here, and thank you all again and always for your continued support of the museum. You are vital to our ongoing programs and work in the community. So it's nice to just say thank you. And I want to give you an update, which I always do somewhat at this time of year. We have a new addition to our program in the museum. It's a genealogy component, and it's a very busy group of people. We have a research team who answers probably 1 inquiry a week, and they meet every Wednesday, and folks come and share their story, and they help them navigate the myriad of questions and so forth in doing genealogy. So we're wanting to be the center here, which I think we're becoming, because we're doing a job that not many other people are doing. Our history exhibits this year were, we kept it almost a year because we liked it so much. Early studio photography, and we had these wonderful photographs, and Mr. Jewell's camera with a photo of Mr. Jewell and his camera. The current exhibit is on Edward Beyer, and Edward was a German painter. Most of you might know him because of his painting there on the wall, Christiansburg in 1855. And you can find the corner where Town Hall is, and a few other things. And the exhibit contains 9 original lithographs from one of our board members, and quite nice. And our curator, Sherry Wyatt, has done a wonderful job of comparing and kind of bringing together Edward Beyer and Lewis Miller. So it's been interesting. Other exhibits that were here, one was on the Springs, and there's a current one on sports, which y'all ought to come see just to see the helmet, the football helmet. It's cool. and one on food waste. So we hope to do something fun with food eventually. The art exhibit that is now going on is this. We have, it's a coup for the museum. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this book, but Keepers of the Tradition was written by Leslie Roberts Gregg, and written by Michael Abraham, and Leslie has done the portraits, and all of these portraits are now hanging in the museum, and they are spectacular. It is a real historic feat for us to have this exhibit. You're invited to the reception Thursday night from 5 to 7. 5 of the keepers will be there, and Michael and Leslie will be there signing books and to meet you. So you're most welcome to come. This is probably the best thing that we've ever had since I've been there. Actually, that's a long time anymore. We offer 2 student exhibits every year, which I think you all know, but we're still doing that, March and April. We have 5 off-site galleries in Christiansburg where local artists are showing their work. And we're offering 2 art classes this year, which they're always full and provide a little bit of money for us. We're also part of the newly forming Christiansburg Art Council, which we're very excited about. You have in front of you a list of our events. And I just want to talk mainly about the first one. We've obviously increased the events we're doing this year. But the Hearts on Main is new to us, and it's the first ever weekend festival of arts for Christiansburg that we know of. Artists will be exhibiting, demonstrating, and selling their work. There will be a People's Choice Award, and there will be a winner from someone who's voted for the People's Choice Award, so somebody will come away with a nice painting. We have 2 evening events. One is Scott Crawford, who I think most of you all have heard. And the other night, Saturday night, we're bringing back a concert that happened 9 years ago with the Celtibillies and Robert Chafin. And it was quite a success then, and we're very excited and looking forward to that this year. Tickets are not on hand yet. They aren't printed, and we're coming down to the wire, but you can get information by calling the museum, and I hope you all will come. And we'd like to see you at the reception Thursday night also. We're going to do the cruising again, and it makes no money for us. It's more like a gift to the town. It was not a good day last year, so it was really a kind of a bookie thing, but we're going to promote that again and host that again. We're going to also host again Mountains on Music. Mountains of Music on Main is what it is. And we're partnering as a general theme with the Ignite on Main Street Inc. Great Road Events. That's all one thing, and whatever they choose to call it. For the Hearts on Main is going to be there. And the Mountains of Music on Main will be there. It will be inside this year, because if anybody came last year, you know it was a total washout, and it was devastating. So we're changing how we do things, but we will be doing the Mountains of Music on Main. Our big event is still Heritage Day, which is a total family-oriented day on the grounds of the museum in August, and I think most of you know about that. Some of you have been able to come and eat with us and participate that way. We're doing another Scott Crawford talk. He's going to talk at the Hearts on Main, but he will also talk again later in the year. We're really interested in attracting youth, but it's hard because schools can't bring kids and bus situations and time and all that. But we are working with scout troops, and one troop this year earned an art badge coming to the museum and doing work with one of the exhibiting artists. Auburn High School sends a class every year of history students who do a research project. They spend the day at the museum, and they pick all kind of topics. It's really interesting to see them working. And I think I brought to you a program that we're working with called JAM, Junior Appalachian Musicians. And it's a program that teaches heritage music to youth in grades 4 through 8. It's going to have the first class Thursday night. We're very excited about that, and we've worked very hard this year to get that going. So we're real happy to be part of that much of the youth in the community. We're also aware of our role in tourism here. Last year we had visitors from 23 other states and 6 countries. So we're very, very excited about that component of who comes. I want to say something about the garden. You all gave us bricks from the town, and I think they sat for a while before we were able to take them. And they're now making a beautiful walkway in the garden. And it's worth coming over, not today and not for a while, but come over and look because it's lovely, and we're very grateful. We have over 160 volunteers working with us every year. And last year we had our first wedding, so kind of doing some new things. The biggest news we have is that as we've been working through these years, we've grown and we've expanded, and we're bursting at the seams, and we've looked at property, we've looked at things to do to try to help us. And what we've decided is to expand our building. We're staying where we are, we own the property, and we're going to expand. That's all I can tell you, because that's about as much as we've been able to say. We're just starting conversations, and we welcome any kind of suggestions or comments, but we're very excited about this possibility, and we'll stay on the grounds and have a whole new concept of building. So in all of this, we're just really pleased and proud to be working with the community and being such an integral part of the community. And thank you so much for your support always. Do you all have any questions?
Sue, could you tell us about what does Scott Crawford do?
Scott Crawford is an entertainer. He's actually an educator. He's a researcher. He talks about art, and he talks about it in a way that you kind of never want him to stop talking. He's very, very delightful. He's a young man, and he teaches at a community college in Roanoke. He works for Miss Utility. He's done a number of things, and he's got a following here. We filled the hall at Ignite last year with a talk he gave on George Washington, a portrait. He's going to talk on, because it's around Valentine's Day, he's going to talk on love and passion in the works of the 19th century. It will be interesting. He's got a lot to say, and he does it in a wonderful way.
I guess you could best say Scott actually dissects a picture.
He does. He does indeed.
And he takes it to the limit. It's probably I've been to 2 or 3 of his, probably the 3 best events that I've been to in a long time.
Thank you. We think so too. And he just does that for us, and we're very fortunate that he's a museum friend. We like those people. So we'll have neat events on that weekend.
And you said the Celtabilities is part of that Hearts on Main as well?
Yeah.
That's Jack Hinchelwood?
Jack Hinchelwood and Robert both grew up here. Right. Robert Chapin has sung opera all over Europe, and it's okay that he sings opera because he really sings it very well, and it's beautiful to listen to. And the Celtabilities have an old-time bluegrass group that travel, and Jack is the director of the Crooked Road, so we're very excited to have this group coming.
Excellent rundown, thanks.
I attended that concert 9 years ago. It was very good.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I just come to the museum. I was like green, and I didn't have to put it together, but I sure enjoyed it.
Sue, can you expand a little bit on the genealogy program you mentioned
Sure.
right at the beginning? You don't
Sure.
have to go too into depth, but just...
We have a lot of information in the museum, a lot of resource information. We have a file on particular families. We have a program called Earliest Settlers, where families who've been here since 1811, I think that's the earliest date, can apply and do a lot of research on their families. But the research team is made up of people who know about the cemeteries and the history, and they know where to go find things. And we get at least a call a week from people all over the country looking for information on their families. And so they're meeting on Wednesdays, and it's an open meeting to come and ask for information. And they've been doing a series of workshops, so just directed at how to find information.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Not only is Sue fairly inventive here, but she also has a very good board. And Mike Larkin has now joined the board, and we have 2 ex-councilmen who are on the board, Jim Van Hoosier and Ernie Wade. And so the board is, along with Sue, are really trying to do some things.
Thanks. It's a very hard-working board. We do not just sit.
Are you on that board?
I might be.
There you go. Huh? He's too proud to mention himself.
Anything else? Questions, comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Always.
Appreciate it. Committee reports, we have Mr. Stipes, Street Committee report recommendation on North Franklin Street speed limit reduction.
I believe Mr. Wingfield and Mr. Nelson are going to present on this, or not? It said presenter. I'm happy to. I noticed on the remarks, though, are you prepared to or not? I'll be happy to.
I haven't prepared
Okay.
anything, but I can speak.
No, I'm good. Okay. So on December 20th, your street committee met for 3 hours. We had 11 items on our agenda. It was a very productive meeting. The one item we're bringing to you, Mr. Collins is sick tonight. I'm sorry we can't be here. But the one item we're bringing before you is, through the years, we've heard requests to, speed limit requests throughout town. One particular one on North Franklin Street has not really, North Franklin Street between Cambria Street and the downtown area. There's been requests to reduce the speed limit on that. Myself, speaking for myself, I haven't been too interested in that until recently. But that's been brought to us as a council again, or it's being brought to you tonight as a recommendation from the street committee. So the question is, the speed limit is 45 now. There are some important changes happening along the North Franklin corridor with our project. It's going to advertisement in November, so in 10 months. That project will be going to advertisement, which means it will go to construction. And it's really a transformational project. It's going to be really creating a bicycle pedestrian corridor through the corridor from between Cambria Street and Independence. There's already sidewalks and bike lanes from Independence onto the downtown area. So the recommendation is from your street committee. I'll first present the options. The options is do nothing, leave it 45, and see how things work out as we go into the project and bike lanes and sidewalks are constructed. Option 2 is reduce it to 40 miles per hour, which is some relief. It's sort of an odd number. Or reduce it to 35 miles per hour, which is more consistent with our other corridors in town. And actually, if you visit nearby localities, that is where we're moving for complete streets, where you have bicycles, pedestrians, and vehicles using the same corridor. In town, 35 miles per hour is more appropriate. So those are the 3 speed limit choices. Then the two other choices are, if we do reduce the speed limit as a council to either 40 or 35, when do we do that? Obviously, when we go to construction, we're going to be doing that on a temporary case to protect workers, and it's going to be a construction zone, so there will, in both sides of the road, will be torn up it'll be heavily under construction. So we could, if council's pleasure is to reduce the speed limit, we could do that now. We could do it sometime between now and construction, or we could wait till construction and then leave that reduced speed limit in place following construction. So the street committee's recommendation, after much deliberation and considering these options, is to reduce the speed limit to 35, and to do so sometime between now and the beginning of construction. And that would be council's pleasure, perhaps over the summer, but get people used to that. New speed limit. There are some other guidelines I failed to mention. I didn't prepare notes, but there are some other guidelines that VDOT recommends. Once you get up to 40 miles an hour and over, it's really not a calm environment for pedestrians and bicycles to function in. And you can look at the 114 corridor now. Is very pleasant. People have complained, mostly out of town folks some have complained. A minority have complained about the speed limit being reduced, but it's a much safer corridor. There are reduced accidents. There are reduced accidents along our Roanoke Street corridor for the same reason. But the reason, the impetus or the justification for reducing the speed limit along North Franklin Street, your street committee recommends, is because the corridor is being transformed to a complete street, and this will result in calmer traffic, less accidents, and more friendly environment for bicycles and pedestrians. And it's going to be, everyone, there's going to be some resistance to it, but your street committee is recommending reducing it to 35 miles per hour sometime between now and next November, or this coming November. And we didn't come up with a specific date, but that's our recommendation to council. And we don't have to decide on that tonight. Mr. Collins was here. Wayne, Mr. Nelson, did I forget anything? Okay.
Stated it well.
Okay, those are the options. Do nothing, go to 40, go to 35, and if we do make a change, when do we do that? And the street committee's recommendation is to go ahead and do that before construction and get people used to it, and just leave it in place after construction, and it'll have a whole different vibe to it. I can tell you, now I live along 114, and people don't drive 35, even though it's a speed limit, but it is a lot calmer. They drive 40 instead of 50. And it is a calmer environment. And but that is our recommendation to council, and council can decide to act on that this evening, or we could wait till Mr. Collins has joined us and give that some thought. But that's sort of our, again, 5 years ago it didn't pique my interest, but now it does, because we're getting ready to change the whole vibe along that corridor.
I would not have a problem with voting on it tonight. I know Harry's on the street committee and he supported this.
Yeah, he's recommending. Yeah,
and this is consistent with Roanoke Road and Peppers Ferry, and really once we do this, I'm going to ask the street committee to look at Rafford Road, which is 45, which I believe that we can reduce down to 35 to make that a little bit more welcoming. But I'll leave it to the majority of council if you want to vote on tonight, or table it until Harry is back.
Any other? That's just a discussion point.
I'm fine voting on it tonight if that pleases everyone else.
I can support that.
All right.
I think what we need to.
Let's make a motion.
Do you have a date in mind? I thought June 1. I don't know. We can do it tomorrow if you'd like.
When public works.
Construction won't actually occur. If it goes to advertisement in November, construction will probably be February, March, about 3 months.
Actually, we're scheduled to go to bid in September.
Oh, bid,
So we'll-
advertisement in September?
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll be
Good heavens.
pushing 1st
Okay.
December. We'll be
Well then, yeah, it's
underway.
perfectly. I think that's a fun date. It's council's pleasure. And our recommendation is this sometime before construction.
And that would be Wayne's call.
Well, it's your call. It's our call.
It's our call. If we set a date,
Because we're going to answer the phone calls, because they're going to
you do June 1, you do September 1.
I think we should make it Wayne's call.
No, I think we need to direct,
No, I
set a
know.
directive, and I think that we need to have a specific date in mind.
I feel your date's a very good one. June 1st seems reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, so would you amend it to June 1, Henry? This be, that, to do 35 effective June 1?
That's fine with me. I'll make a motion to approve the Cambria intersection, North Franklin Street corridor reduction from 45 to 35 by June 1st.
I second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion, further discussion? Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It's 5-0 and 1 absent, passed effective June 1. That gives a little bit of time. I'm sure that we'll publicize it a whole lot coming down the road, but give them some time to get used to it. Give us some time to get the signage right. Any blinking signs we can put up that we can run for a while, that would be good too. Thank you. Discussion and action by mayor and council. A council action on the 2016 consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, CAPER, that Mr. Warren presented in the public hearing section?
I make a motion that we approve the 2016 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, otherwise known as CAPER.
CAPER. Got a motion?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
501. Thank you very much. Next is the reappointment of Steve Simmons and Amanda Tupweiler and an appointment of Bev Bridges to the Aquatic Advisory Board. I think we addressed this the last meeting. The weather was pretty bad and two of our members could not attend. They have been selected by the committee. Help me out, Terry. What are we, the CAC Advisory Committee?
Mayor Barber and Council, I'd like to introduce Amelia Tupweiler. Amelia is seeking her second term this evening with the Aquatic Advisory Board. She's been a great asset for us and to us here with the town and the Aquatic Center, so thank you. And I'd like to introduce Bev Bridges. She has been nominated by our advisory board to come before council as our next reappointment, taking the position of Mark Lane. So she would be stepping in those shoes. So welcome, Bev.
Well, thank you. It's both an honor and a privilege to be on the board. Thank you.
And sitting in the middle is Shirley Halleck. She's currently on our advisory board too. So it's a pleasure to have these three ladies here with us this evening.
Good. So do I hear a motion to appoint?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say this before the four ladies there, you know, they had their New Year's Eve thing on December 30th, and it was just a brutal night. And I drove by it, but I thought it was too cold for me to go. But they were, all four of them were there, and the attendance for this year was better than last year. I think it was up 13% or something of that nature, and it really went over well. And you know, they have a little apple cider and things like that, and the ball drops, and it's just a very nice event that they've got going, and all four of those ladies were very much involved this year.
Thank you. So is that a motion?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there I knew I'd get it out of it. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye. That is 501. Thank you very much, Council. Resolution in support of workers' compensation for Christiansburg Volunteer Fire and EMS. Randy, is that yours?
Yes. The Code of Virginia section specified in the packet requires that we have a resolution on file with the Workers' Compensation Board in order to cover our volunteer fire and EMS workers. The Workers' Compensation Board pointed out they did not have a resolution on file, so this is simply to continue coverage.
We've done this. We've had this in place for a while.
We've always had coverage for them, so it hasn't been an issue. Apparently somebody at the office there noticed they didn't have it on file, so this is to get something on record with him.
And I have a copy of that resolution here if you want me to read it.
It's in there.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. What are we going to do? We're going to adopt the resolution in support of workman's comp for our volunteer fire and EMS. One second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
Very good. We are going to discuss a community engagement naming contest for the former Truman Wilson property. Brad, I believe that was yours.
I'll keep this short. This is basically to plant some seeds formally in council members' heads about perhaps giving our future park property an identity. This is my primary reason for bringing this up is actually I don't want to hear it called. I don't like the reference to it as a North Christiansburg Regional Park. It's not just for North Christiansburg, and it's not a regional park, it's our park. And that's a holdover from the previous administration. And so that's my main reason for bringing this up. I don't expect us to take action on this tonight. There is some question about if we're going to have a park. Now we have a new council, and we got some serious discussions to have, and hopefully they're not going to take a long time. We've heard some input from citizens about, even with the aquatic center, but even now with the park, maybe there's an opportunity for corporate sponsorship and some identity and fundraising associated with that. So I didn't expect us to take action tonight, but I would recommend that for the time being, we do not refer to it as a North Christiansburg Regional Park. I prefer to continue calling it the Truman Wilson property until it is a park, and then we give it a name, and then decide if we want to, have a corporate partnership with somebody or a group of folks, or how we want to do that. So really, this is just a seed plan for fellow council folks in a formal way to say we need to think about this, and we can talk about it some more. But if it's council's pleasure, I personally would like to recommend that we continue to refer to it as a Truman Wilson property until it is a park, and until it is something that we have something real that we can give it an identity. That's it.
Yeah, I agree, Brad. I think we need to come up, either have a contest, because aren't we having some sort of contest with the high school naming the connector road, correct, which will go in front of there? I thought that was a terrific idea, which was brought to us, I believe. Melissa, did you bring that to us? No? Or somebody came up with that great idea. It wasn't me.
Yeah, it was. It was. And the other one thing I failed to mention, if it's council's pleasure, and again, it would be nice to have everyone here. But one idea I had, and the reason I put community engagement, if we want to start giving it a name, I'm fine with that too. My idea for that would be for our great PR staff to advertise a naming contest, and we could give some sort of a prize for the successful. Maybe it's a membership to the aquatic center, or some kind of an incentive for people to participate. But they could, the community, anyone in our community could recommend names for the park, and in 250 words or less, why they think it should be named that.
That's a good idea.
And keep it short, 250 words or less, and then we could, if we do such a thing, it could be widespread and advertised, and have some incentive that we decide. And then we could choose what to do with it. Then we could actually have some finalists and mull it over. It'd be sort of neat, but 250 words or less, what do you think we should call it this? And that might come up with some pretty neat ideas. But I'm sorry, Mr. Showalter, you reminded me, if we want to go that route, that's why I said community engagement. I think it would be a pretty exciting thing for the community to get involved. And who knows? I mean, I'd be really interested to see what some of the names would be and why they would want to name it that.
We had pretty good engagement when we started to plan this thing. We had a lot of people show and express interest in it, so I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And as you said, I don't think right now is the exact time to get started. We've got some decisions to make, but when we do, then I think this is what we need to put into play.
I'm just getting on and just bringing that up for mulling.
Getting the head shaking is about all we're getting right here, folks.
For rumination.
I think it's good to start, at least for our PR department to start planning for it, because it could come up pretty fast. I know we're going to have it on the agenda here in the next 30 or 40 days,
yes,
I would assume. So that's a great contest. And I got a thumbs up. So what do you think, Randy?
I think so.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Section E is the monthly bills, and we have moved this out of the consent agenda for at least tonight and possibly a few more times in the future. We have before us about, I want to guess, $2.6 million worth of bills, or $1.75 million worth of bills. I can't remember what the grand totals.
$1,757,671.
Okay, and within those bills, there is one that we're going to separate and vote on again, and that is there is an $854 37-cent bill to Marketing on Main Street, which is Ms. Sachs's company. These were goods purchased and services provided before she came on to town council. So rather than to appear to have any improprieties, we're going to vote on all the bills except $854.37 at this point. So do I have a motion to approve about $1,007,000 and some loose change?
I make a motion that we approve the bills excluding the Marketing on Main line item for $854.37.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That is 5-0-1. Thank you very much. And now the next bill is for Marketing on Main Street, $854.37. It is goods and services provided prior to January 1.
Make a motion that we approve the Marketing on Main line item charge for $854.37.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Abstain.
Abstain. Thank you.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
So that is 4-0-1-1. Okay. Total 6. Thank you. Item F is the request from Walmart for signage and for their building and a conditional use permit. Is that correct? They're going to be applying for.
I'll make a motion, we approve the conditional use permit as presented to us this evening.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Let's get at that, Michelle.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It's 5-0-1. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Tickle, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Staff reports, Town Manager.
Okay, just to let you know, the building at 1135 Radford Street is down. The town did do that at our expense, although we would be putting a lien on the property. I have a question about tablets. Of course, we council members started using tablets around probably a little over a year ago. We have a hosting site for the storage of the data. It's called Box, so I know some of you are probably familiar with it. It costs us $180 a year to host Box, and we have to use that in order for you to use the annotate function with the packets. If you are not accessing it using the annotate, in other words, if you're getting it, just accessing it through your email, or if you're accessing it through the internet, then you can't make comments on it or anything like that. With the annotate module, you can. But like I say, it costs basically $180 a year per person in order to host that.
Per person.
Per person, yes. Are you using the notes enough to justify continuing that, or would you rather simply access it via the internet or your email?
The latter.
Yeah, I don't use it.
I've never used it once.
I don't think I have more than once made any comments to the side of that agenda.
Okay. We'll probably shut down the annotate. We've got basically the contract with them will be up for renewal next month, so we'll probably just shut down the annotate function. You can still use your tablets and get on the internet to access it, or you can still access it through your email. You just won't be able to make personalized notes.
Thanks for catching that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And Marissa, Cord never used his or got his set up,
It's
so
on
you
the
have
box.
a brand new one waiting on you.
Okay.
It is very handy.
Give give you an update. The property owner at 1392 Dow Street with the kennel has appealed to the circuit court. So that'll be pending. And also I have several work sessions to schedule with council. One being a meeting in regards to wayfinding, and also we want to talk about possibility of promotional videos for the town. Lisa Bleakley would like to come to council to make a presentation on the Tourism Development Council. We also need to do training for FOIA, conflict of interest, closed meetings, illegal meetings, etc. And also, we would like to have the Small Business Development Council come and make a presentation. The regional managers have been meeting with Kevin Bird periodically. Basically, we meet every month, and we have, I think, kind of collectively agreed that we would like to fund an office up here in this area. I think, you know, a few $1,000s each, I think we can probably accomplish that. So we're talking about it. But
yeah,
anyhow, we would like to have a presentation on that.
That's something Hill and I have heard about at the Regional Commission, and we all know when Kevin's on board with something. And of course, the town's sponsoring some classes as well through the organization. I mean, it's a real organization that helps people who want to become entrepreneurs. So I'm excited about it.
And in February, you wanted to meet again on the park, Truman Wilson. Yes. So really, at your pleasure. Of course, we were, I guess, kind of hoping to have the wayfinding and promotional video meeting as soon as, basically the sooner the better. Lisa Bleakley had asked for January 30th, which is an off council night, if that's possible. She's out of town the prior meeting night, the 23rd.
Can she have it in the evening?
You mean after work, after 5? Yes, she could.
Yeah,
that's fine with me.
The 30th is good with me.
Would you want to have the wayfinding and promotional video work session maybe before the next council meeting, the 23rd?
You mean the day of, prior to?
Yes.
I will always prefer that, and it doesn't need to be a long one, I don't think, does it, Melissa?
No.
This is a short one? Okay.
So we will go at 5:30?
This is 5:30 on the 23rd?
Right. If that's all right with you guys, can you?
I can be here.
Weather permitting? No.
So that work session is going to be for, what again? It's
wayfinding and possibility of promotional videos for the town.
And you're going to handle all that?
I am, yes.
Now, are we still going to do something on the 30th?
Yeah.
If you like.
Is that with Lisa?
Yes. If you can't do it then, we'll probably either have to, we could do it another night besides Tuesday, or we'd probably have to drop back to the beginning of February.
What does she plan to cover?
I think just kind of update on the year, their activities.
So have one work session just for that?
Well, you could accompany other things with it. Like I say, we've got FOIA and conflict of interest training possibility, and also the Small Business Development Council.
During this, I'm jumping in just a second. You know, I kind of asked Lisa to come to give us an update because we have attended several meetings, but sometimes we get so much information that I kind of forget to come back and digest it to give it to y'all. So that's why I asked her to at least come to a work session, because I think once again, we as council can probably get more out of her that way than in an open meeting. Because once again, you know, 10, 15 minutes, and it may not take her that long. I think she's done it once before. It took, what, 30, 45 minutes.
Okay, that helps. I'm just saying, if we're going to get together, and we've got these 5 or 6 different things, let's bunch them together, and because we're not meeting every, you know, have a whole, you know.
Every week.
Yeah. Just kicking stuff around the lot here. Do you think we could combine wayfinding and the Lisa on the?
I think it might be pushing it a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
Would this be a little bit different than what she presents when she comes to council?
She's not available on the 23rd either way. She's out of town.
That's different.
it's going to be geared to us, to Christiansburg, and not
Just overview, like she usually
for
does.
Christiansburg.
Okay. I'm good. If we can fit it in that night, that gives us an hour and a half.
Well, no, she's not available that
The
night.
23rd.
She's not available.
So the 23rd, we're doing wayfinding and
The other items I had.
promotional videos.
Yes, the other items I had, FOIA conflict of interest training, the Small Business Development Council. Also, we've had mention of discussion regarding recognition of downtown art and building improvements, too, as a possible work session. Right?
We can't link two of those on the 30th together.
You could, yes,
Bundle?
you certainly could.
If you got a recommendation?
But, you know, that's an off meeting night, so you don't have a regular meeting. So,
What about in February?
Lisa
First
could
meeting
come.
in
Lisa
February.
could come in February.
Can we link the first meeting in February to another 5:30 prior to council with
I would like that.
with the grant program for downtown and Lisa? Can we do those two?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So
Mr.
those.
Bishop, you all right with that?
Oh, yeah, I'm
First
fine.
Okay, good.
So that's going to be February
I like that idea.
the
13th,
13th.
5:30.
I like that. Thank you. Good idea.
Because I think that the small business council, that's something we probably want by itself on a work session prior to council to give us a full hour apart.
Those classes start at the January 30th, I think, maybe, or I can't remember the date.
They start in January. I
In
think
January.
it's before the 30th.
Okay, but anyway, they'll be held, and we'll have a chance to see what happens from that, and then we can pursue getting them up here if possible.
It's a good 30-minute presentation, but it's really good. I believe
Okay.
they go into the history on it, and then of course, if there's some excitement that's built to through the regional commission, hopefully we could get some report back that they're going to place an office up here, which would be terrific. And I'll say something to Kevin as well. See if he can't get some more information about that.
Okay,
What do
so
you think?
Now, can I
Okay.
review? So we're gonna meet on the 23rd at 5:30, and we're not gonna meet at all on the 30th. And then we're gonna meet again on February 13th at 5:30.
Correct.
That sound right?
Correct. And the 23rd would be wayfinding and promotional videos at 5:30. The 13th would be the Tourism Development Council and basically recognition of downtown business owners for building and art improvements on the 13th at 5:30.
Now, that's the same program you've mentioned about the grant program?
It could be a grant program. You know, you mentioned, like us council mentioned, some type of recognition.
It was
in
me.
general.
But
So-
can we run that into, because I know, or is that too long to put that, to look into that grant facade program?
I
Is
think
that too soon?
I think it might be a little soon.
Okay, that's fine.
You know, if you just want kind of preliminary discussions, I think it's fine.
I think just recognition is fine, and then, because that grant program is probably going to be dedicated to a full night on its own for us to look into that.
keep in mind as we start making play dates in February that we will probably, quite possibly, be engaged and involved in the interview and research on the results from the town manager search. So we don't get any of those reports back until January the 22nd. And then we've got to, at that point, we need to pick some dates that we can meet. I know Henry cannot meet during the day until after the 9th of February.
No, it's before that. We're dismissing for non-payment January 29th this year.
So. Okay. So anyway, I will most likely be in conversation with you all once I get everything in and see what we have. And we'll try to set some dates for to have Ann Miller come up and go over these things with us. If she's doing whatever. Ann Lewis, Ann Miller, whoever. I'll get Ann up here. How's that? Springstead Ann. All right, very good. So we're good on these dates at this point?
I think it's a good plan.
Okay.
That still leaves the FOIA and conflict of interest training, the Small Business Development Council, and in some point in February, the park discussion.
Remember, just need to move to meet 5 times during February, meet every week.
And we'll start the budget here pretty soon.
In the budget. The FOIA, COIA, closed meeting type thing, what do you, what time frame do you see on it?
I see it probably taking an hour to an hour and a half, maybe. Last time Jim Gwynn made the presentation, it was probably maybe a 20-minute. It's probably about an hour because it's probably maybe a 20-minute slide presentation and questions.
Is that who we have in mind for the next one?
That's what I was planning.
Okay.
Can we do that just at the second meeting, or to the second meeting of council?
February.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those, I don't think we need to schedule a separate.
5:30 on the 27th.
Mm-hmm. And what was the other one, Randy?
Yeah. The Small Business Development Council. Okay, on the FOIA and conflict of interest training, the 27th, 5:30.
Mm-hmm. The SBC is going to be that night also? No.
I think that would probably be a little tight on their presentation. Their presentation takes solid half hour.
Yeah.
That's kind of condensed version, to be honest.
Would it, I mean,
is there
some
some
the first
reason,
March meeting?
Is there some reason, or I mean, just to, I don't know, is there some reason, is there a time lane or a time constraint on that we have to act on it by a certain time, or?
Other than it might be a budget item.
That still gives us time, and I really, I wasn't aware that they were looking at putting an office in our region. It would probably give Kevin.
Well, that's kind of a possibility, or being an affiliate, which they would have somebody basically in the area from there also. Maybe not a dedicated office, but maybe a dedicated person is a possibility.
It'd give them 50 days to hopefully we could get that at the same time. If we did, do you think March would be too late? I mean,
not necessarily. I mean, it's a relatively small budget item anyhow, so I think it'd probably be okay. I think they were kind of hoping for January, to be honest, but I think February. I guess they'll come when we ask.
Can we give them the end of February appointment and move FOIA and COIA?
We can.
Even better.
Move FOIA where?
March.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I've March training is good training, and
unless Jim's really chomping at the bit to get here.
I was going to say I'll get with Randy and see when he's available for that.
Okay. And if we were to have to schedule an in between work session, that's so be it.
So hold off on the FOIA training for now?
Yes, find out the dates that Jim are available. If you could email those out to us.
Okay.
Give us a menu to check, or some, I don't like those online pick a date type thing. Thank you, Survey Monkey, yeah. So,
and
okay.
You said that you wanted to meet on the park again in February, too.
Yes. That would be a separate meeting.
That would have to be a separate from council night.
Do you want to try to schedule that now, or do you want to?
Let's do it.
Me and Neil going to be ready.
Actually, I think we were really just planning internal discussions of cost and options.
Oh, okay.
It would be nice if Kay and Neil would be there, though.
I think we could still invite them, certainly.
I think that's important to have John here.
I've had some more thoughts on that since the last meeting, but I want to have I think we need to not let that take a back seat. We need to keep it right in front of us and decide, especially with the new council, I think we need to keep that right in front of us and see where it's going to go. Either it's going to be thumbs down, it's going to be thumbs up of some sort, but we got to do something.
I've run out of space to doodle on my pad here. I'm not sure what I got. So we're going to do Lisa Bleakley prior to a council meeting?
The 13th.
Okay.
At 5:30.
What about the Gay and Neil thing at the end of January the 30th? We had talked about that as a work session night, and we kind of moved things around.
I'm not sure if he'd be ready by that. I mean, that's pretty soon.
This is
This is more of an internal.
Just us,
More
not
internal,
John.
they'll
Much
be
like
there.
we did last month.
Can we do the 30th, guys?
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
5:30?
Yes.
On what day? January 30th?
30th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Park the 30th.
Mm-hmm.
What time?
5:30.
5:30.
If we make it 5:30, it'll last till 8 or 9.
Mhm.
If we make it, I'm fine with 5:30, but,
Yeah, 5:30 works for me.
okay.
And I think we've got everything scheduled besides the training, the Goya training.
Okay.
It's a busy month.
Let's see.
We'll also have several committee meetings to set up, but I guess I'll get with you individually on those. I do want to have a solid waste committee, water sewer solid waste committee meeting in regards to recycling, and I'd like to set that up hopefully within the next week if I could, and I'll get with you to schedule those. Like I say, I'll get with you individually on the other committee meetings.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Do I need to review again, or does everybody feel like we're good?
No, I think.
I'm good.
All right.
You'll get us something out on that, is that correct?
I'll send you an email.
Look for your reminders. Your
Okay.
enrolled
Yeah.
notes, right?
Very good. Okay, Madam Attorney,
Have no report?
other staff, Andrew, did you have something to add?
Yes, sir. I wanted to piggyback on what Randy had mentioned about 1392 with the zoning violation that was appealed to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and then the Board of Zoning Appeals upheld the violation. It appears that it's going to go to circuit court at this point, and we're just kind of waiting for the papers to be sent to us at this point. Once we have additional information, we'll bring that, make sure that you all are kept up to date on that as we move forward. What has come out of that discussion is our definition of kennel references the term adult dog, which is is not defined any other place in the zoning ordinance or town code. So that has been a bit of an obstacle in enforcing the code or making it clear to individuals when enforcing the code. So if council does not have any objections, I'd like to move forward and at the next meeting on the consent agenda, schedule a code change. Planning staff, Will Drake and myself, met with Teresa, and we think we have a good approach for changing the code. And we've done quite a bit of research with other codes, and so we'll move forward with that if council doesn't have any objections. So it would be
Not on a consent agenda, it has to be advertised.
That's correct, but we would set the public hearing on the consent agenda next meeting.
Okay.
And that would allow us to move forward as staff to bring it to the development subcommittee of the planning commission, which is scheduled to meet next Tuesday as well. So
I'm 100% for it, and as you know, I attended that BZA meeting. It was the night of December 7th or 9th, whatever. The chamber
7th, that was the night of the chamber dinner.
It was the night of the chamber dinner, big conflict. But let me tell you, that's the tribes are restless, and that we need to do something with that. And anything we do as a council will be enforceable across the board. There's no grandfathering. If we change our ordinance and get it tightened up on that, it's enforceable to all people.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And Teresa, please chime in if needed, but we will see how this current violation plays out. But there, if the ordinance is adopted, then there would be nothing that would stop us from pursuing a new violation.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. That's better.
So we won't make any decision until after the appeal, correct?
Any decision on what?
Changing our ordinance or including?
No, we can move ahead and
This doesn't affect the appeal at all?
No, and all this is basically just clarifying what an adult dog is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not changing the ordinance in any other way, it's just making it clear what is considered an adult dog versus the interpretation that's been applied by staff for
Many,
past.
10, 15 years or longer.
Did this case go to the general district court, or did we miss?
No,
It
it
went to
does
the
not.
Board of
No.
Zoning, it went to the Board of Zoning Appeals first, and then the appeals from that's to circuit court.
Right.
Gotcha, okay.
And they had 30 days to appeal, which would have been Sunday, and we had just heard that they had appealed, and it was placed in circuit court this will be the last week. So, but we have not received any papers to this date.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other town staff? I want to just, no, that's all right, I'll get into it in a minute. Council reports. You want to lead us off, or would you like to wait and see what we actually do first?
I would like to wait and see what you do first.
Mr. Bishop?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Okay. Mr. Stotts?
I have nothing.
Well, I have to represent Cord.
Oh.
I would like to just say, you people that are here tonight, I think I heard there were 8 water main break
Oh, yeah.
during this Christmas time when it got down to God knows when. And I hope that you'll pass it on to all your people. You know, how council recognizes, you know, it had to be some cold times there. And as far as I know, Randy, we came through this last 10 days pretty well.
I think so. I think they had more like 30 breaks over the last
Yeah.
month.
30?
Since what was that?
Since November 27th, we had 38.
Wow.
We had 15 last week.
Oh, you're a better man than I am, for sure.
And the guys have
I've got a
worked
good
hard.
staff.
Well, you make sure you pass it on.
And Jim, I would say it's more than council. More my coworkers, you hear that all the time about you know, the guys that they pass when it's 10 degrees outside, and you know, I've seen it, and they just wanted me to pass along the thanks. And I think we got an email as well. So it extends more than council, and something that Public Works and most of our public safety people rarely hear. But I hear about it at work all the time, and my neighbors, they recognize it, they see it, and it's painful out there when it's that low. So appreciate it.
I'll pass that along. Thank you.
Did you get any kind of idea there, Marissa, what we need to do?
I'll be ready for next time.
Okay. You have nothing at this point?
Correct.
Okay. And the only thing I was going to bring up is what Mr. Huppert alluded to, and the fact that I have had many comments and likes and acknowledgments through various social media about what a great job they did, and how, you know, that's probably the toughest job in town at that time of year, without question.
Yes, sir.
So they've been extremely busy, and I appreciate that. So with that, anything else for council to, any other reports? Just jog anybody's memory about anything? Okay. Other business. We are going to a reorganization for the year 2018. We'll start with the election of a vice mayor.
I'd like to make a motion that we vote for Brad Stipes to be our vice mayor in the coming year.
I'll second it.
Thank you. One of the things, I went back over the last a history of the current council, obviously with the exception of Mrs. Saxon, she just joined us. But Mr. Bishop served very well through 2017. Mr. Hall, 2016. Mr. Showalter, 2015. Mr. Huppert was the vice mayor 2013, and the last time Mr. Stipes has served as vice mayor was 2009. So he's just been kind of sitting back taking notes, and I want to see what he can do. So we have a nomination of Mr. Stipes and a second as vice mayor. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
Why can't I vote for myself?
Why not?
I'm staying, what do I do?
I'll give you that. I
So
can give you.
when's your
Like
Cancun
John
trip?
Candy, I'll do it.
When's your Cancun trip? So I remember when
It's Starlight first
Brad
came.
ran council. that fell on me. I did a great job. I remember years ago your family was here when you ran council that night when Mayor Boundsy was out and you
No,
were
you
vice
have
mayor.
heart surgery.
Yep.
Thank you, Henry.
That was a good night. And Sam did a great job.
Sam did a great job.
It really is.
It's the first year we're all really nice people.
Okay. So we're going to do a 4-0 and 1-1. 4-0-1-1. That's an Mr. Sipes will abstain. We have an absence, and we do still. According to council, I will tell you that in talking to Mr. Collins, he truly supported this. So we set the regular meeting dates for council, which we have been meeting the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month at 7 o'clock.
I can support that.
I'll second it.
Motion to second, set regular meeting dates of council for the second and fourth Tuesdays.
At 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock here in Town Hall, unless otherwise noted.
It sounds like it's 5:30.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Councilman Bishop. Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
That is 5-0 and 1. Thank you. We need to authorize the vice mayor, the assistant town manager, deputy director of finance, all to sign checks. Currently, the town manager, the finance director, and myself are serving, are signing through that position. So, is there a motion for those 3 additional signers?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Madam,
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop. Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
5-0 and 1. And Ms. Tweedy will get all the necessary paperwork up for, I guess it's Brad is the only additional at this point. Anyway, okay. The appointment of committees, and I have passed these by. For 2018, I have asked Mr. Showalter and Mrs. Sachs to serve on the Water, Sewer, and Solid Waste Committee. Councilman Collins and Councilman Stipes to serve Street. Councilman Showalter, Vice Mayor Stipes, Finance. Mr. Bishop and Mr. Hubbard, Fire and Rescue. And Central Business District is Mr. Bishop and Ms. Sachs. We had others that ad hoc committees that we have not appointed anyone to in a long time, and it's on an as-needed basis that we'll form those committees. Is that good?
Yes.
We don't need to vote on that one.
That's
That's my choice.
That's your choice.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a statement about that, to add to what Mayor Barber's saying with Ms. Sachs on board? All these committee meetings that we have, like for instance, Mr. Hubbard spent 3 hours with us on December 20th, 2 days. Yeah, your council members are welcome at all the meetings, and when you show up, you're basically, I mean, for all practical purposes, you're part of the committee. You're there listening and things like that. So I want to, with finance and street, I mean, street and finance street meets a whole bunch. But the committee, just to add what the mayor says, the mayor sets these committees, but through the year, when you attend, your family there. So
Thank you for explaining
there's
that.
formal assignments, but there's nothing special. We don't have a special, we don't have any special powers or anything. It's just special assignments.
Yeah.
I'm not that good of a person. I thought it would be a 15-minute special. And next thing I know, it's 2.5 hours,
So,
no
if
pizza or nothing.
I understand correctly, by having only 2 members appointed to this particular committee, then we may or may not have to advertise it.
Keep minutes. I think that was.
We're keeping minutes. We keep minutes of it.
If there's 3 council people.
If you're present.
Well, I think an extra council member can be present. They can't be scheduled part of the discussion. It's
Right.
still between the
They're
two.
observers. Okay.
Mr. Hubbard
Right, yeah,
attends,
yeah,
and
right.
the mayor attends most of them.
Yeah.
And of course, you can always hear from the floor as a citizen.
Right.
But
I was
That's
just a
good.
silent bystander.
You're always welcome, Steve.
Okay, so we're good to go on those. We have scheduled a closed meeting under the code. However, this was put in case we decided that we wanted to go into closed session to discuss the appointment of personnel and officers for 2018. Do you all want to use that option to go into closed session before we go?
I don't see a need.
I'm fine.
Okay, so I get it, we're not going to go into closed session on this one? All right. No action. Appointment of town officers, and I do believe that we do have to appoint the interim town manager, finance director, treasurer, police chief, clerk of council, and town attorney. And we can do these individually if you would like, or we can do them in group.
I would support doing them in group.
Group.
Since I'm new, I'd like to do them individually,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
I think that would be it.
All right, we'll go individually.
Yeah.
The first appointment is the interim town manager.
I make a motion that we appoint Mr. Wingfield as the interim town manager for the coming year.
A second.
Get a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of Mr. Wingfield?
Aye.
Aye.
I guess you better do that, Ms. Humphrey. Huh?
Yeah, we'll do those separately.
You gonna do a roll call?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably better.
Councilman Bishop,
Uh,
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
It's 5-0-1. The finance director / treasurer.
Make a motion that we appoint Valerie Tweedy as our
What's her name?
finance director and treasurer for the upcoming 2018 year. I was saying Val, but I was trying to make it a little bit more professional.
a second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
It's 5-0-1. Thank you. Police chief?
Make a motion we reappoint Mr. Mark Sisson, is it Mark A. Sisson, as our police chief for 2018.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The clerk of council?
I'll make a motion to appoint Michelle M. Stipes as our clerk of council for the upcoming year.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Abstain.
4-0-1 and 1. Town attorney?
I guess we'll do the whole company, right?
Yeah, could you give us a rundown of the orders?
It's Gwen and Waddell.
Yeah,
It's
Gwen.
Jim Gwen and Susan Waddell.
They have served us for, I don't know, maybe as long as I've been on council.
It's been as long as I've been on.
Yeah. Well, I came in 2011, so it was long before that. It was when Mr. Turpinning was still here.
Okay.
I'll make a motion we reappoint Gwen Waddell as our town attorney.
Second.
Motion and a second.
I'd also like to make a comment, since we're being watched, and Mr. Waltz had his comments, and I certainly understand that, and I will say, when I first came on council, I was not a big fan. I questioned our approach with having a firm represent us rather than have someone that was sitting in the desk and was always here at our disposal, our beck and call. But over the years, I've found it very useful, and I found it very useful to have a variety of attorneys with different types of experience that exclusively serve localities, and they have done. Are they perfect? No. Have they served us well? Absolutely. And I have grown to appreciate the fact, and it's never, after being on council a couple of years and seeing the situations that come up to us with personnel and potential litigation and different things like this, when you have a firm such as theirs that has these different attorneys with different expertises, I think it's served us well, and it's been cost effective. So I'm not a marketing manager for them, but I have grown to appreciate the expertise that you have in a lot of areas. But you're not perfect, and neither are we. But you've certainly done a great job.
There's a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Oh, we did that, didn't we?
Yeah. I'll do it again.
Brad started out started with his comments before I could call for comments. But anyway.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions, suggestions?
Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
It's 5-0. Thank you very much. Do you have the wording to read for going into closed session?
Vice Mayor? No, I don't.
Okay. Are you sure this is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making a request for a closed meeting in accordance with the Code of Virginia, subsection 2.2-3711, parentheses 3, for the discussion and consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose, or of the disposition of publicly held real estate, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. The closed meeting pertains to discussions regarding a potential recreational property in Montgomery County, as well as a potential public works property in Montgomery County. So I guess that request is made in the form of a motion.
It is.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
It's 5-0, and we're going to take about a 3 or 4 minute recess. Do we, on the Public Works side, do you want Jim and Travis into this thing? Have you asked them to come for that? Okay. We're adjourned for a few.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I move to certify that the Town Council of the Town of Christiansburg meeting in closed meeting, in the best of each member's knowledge, discussed only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law, and only such business matters as are identified in the resolution to enter into closed meeting.
Takes a second.
Requires a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
Motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
We have taken no formal action on any of the projects that we have discussed, any items that we have discussed. So with that, is there anything else to come before council?
Okay.
Nothing at all. Thank you for a very productive night, ladies and gentlemen.